turn your green buttons.
Okay. This meeting of the Kyle Housing Authority will come to order. We have a quorum present. For the record, the date is February 28th, 2019, and the time is 6:06 p.m. At this time, would the secretary please call roll?
Chairman Harper, Commissioner Kaufman,
Present.
Commissioner Lopez,
Present.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Present.
Commissioner Salazar.
And just to reflect, our chairman is stuck at the Capitol, so he will not be here. And I've just heard from Commissioner Salazar, and he isn't able to be here either this evening. So he's at another commitment that is running over as well. Okay, so let's look at, our first order of business would be the previous minutes, but I know that we are delaying that, and that would be included in the next quarterly meeting. So we could do that. Frank, I don't know if there's any way, if we get to that, maybe we could do an email approval to review it, since they were from October. Could we do that before?
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe is 2 weeks enough?
Yes.
Okay. That way we won't get so far
Right.
beyond that, so we'll say 2 weeks. Okay. Our next order of business is our citizen comment period, and the Kyle Housing Authority does welcome comments from citizens early in the agenda of its meeting, and those wishing to speak are always encouraged to sign in before the meeting. Speakers are provided with an opportunity to speak during this time on any agenda item or any other matter concerning Kyle Housing Authority business, and they must observe a 3-minute limit. We don't have anyone who has signed up, but I just state that so that if anyone is viewing the meeting, they know that they're always welcome to come to citizen comment. So we will conclude the citizen comment period, and we will move forward. Do we have a matter for executive session? I don't think on our agenda we do.
There's not anything that I have, Madam
Okay.
Chair, unless,
I don't think we have anything for executive session, so.
I just
we'll-
have one question.
Certainly.
Probably for executive session.
Okay, okay, then we will recess into executive session, and the time is 6:09 PM.
we can,
Turn them off, or all of them off. Is that one off? Okay, we will now reconvene in open session. The time is 6:20 PM. For the record, in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, no votes were taken or decisions made in executive session. We are now in the consider and possible action part of the agenda. Hold on, I just lost my... All right, the first item is the financials for our Charles Young Housing, Pete Dressen Housing, and the analysis. And so Frank, if you will share the information we have in the packet.
Okay, under financials, I put in the combined balance sheet, that shows our assets and our liabilities. As you can see, on the second page, we have the, by column, separate the low rent, the Pete Dressen program, and then the total on each column. And right now, we're doing fine. As you can see, the Pete Dressen has a little negative, but that balances out at the end of the year. Oh,
That-
sorry, thank you. Is there any questions on that, Commissioners?
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Just looking at this. I think just give us a couple minutes to
Sure.
I'm trying to
Review.
go through it.
Then we have the next.
Next, separated to low rent program with Charles Young Housing. And you have a balance sheet for that program just by itself. And you see the assets and liabilities on the first page. The second page separates it by the low rent side and the capital fund program. And that's, we haven't done anything this past quarter on spending on capital fund. That's money that we get extra to do maintenance or big projects such as renewing the bathrooms, renovating the bathrooms, putting in new mailboxes, fixing the road, the street at Charles Young. We
Is-
haven't done any of that, but that's what we have money for.
And just a reminder, those funds are received at the beginning of each fiscal year or as requested?
They're made available on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And we draw down what we need with justification, what we use it for.
Okay. Okay, any questions on the statements for Charles Young?
No.
The third page, under low rent, has the current month in the budget and the variance, and then for the 6 months ending December 31st of 2018. I'll let y'all look at it.
this looks okay. The next one is not probably so, so good. Are there any questions with regard to the income statement for the operating fund for Charles Young?
I think I'm on the first
Let me
page,
go back.
under investments where it says unrestricted, in the 12,724. What is that? What?
Are you on,
The first page
The
under
first
is
page.
assets.
this the first one under assets?
It's under assets, the top of the page.
You
It's
say
about
investments,
it's about the fifth, sixth line down.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's money we gotta put aside on the low rent. Every month we've got to put some cash in there, and it just sits there for emergencies.
Okay.
And that money comes from,
I-
okay,
Thank you.
all right. Any other questions about any of the balance sheets or the financials we've seen so far?
No.
Okay.
The next one is the Section 8, Pete Dressen Housing Complex. We have asset and liabilities all on one page. And the following page, again, it breaks up the current month expenditures according to the budget and the variance, and then the year-to-date, which the year-to-date is from June to December 31st. All the amounts here look good, considering that's a difficult program that we operate. And it's also right before the shutdown occurred.
So are we expecting that we're expecting that this won't look as positive?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions related to the assets, liabilities, and income statement for the Dressen property?
On the office expenses,
Yes, sir.
were you able to secure a new computer?
No. No, I haven't attempted it. I've been very shy on spending money, considering the revenue and the maintenance expenses that have been coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to make do with what we have.
Okay.
And Daniel even donated a chair for me to use, and Brad gave me some file cabinets, two file cabinets, yeah, lateral file cabinets, which are being used.
Okay. You know, maybe Frank, a wish list of some things that you might need in the office. I know we're trying to be as frugal as possible, but maybe there might be some ways for some of the commissioners to see if we could, maybe we have some of these items, just like Daniel donated the chair, Brad donated the filing cabinet. You know, maybe there's some wish list items that you really need, and I know we're running on a shoestring budget here, that we might be able to figure out some ways to find something in the budget, or at least we might have something.
Thank you. And then the following page is the pie chart and the bar chart showing you how we're doing. The yellow, and this is only for low rent, shows you the yellow is a subsidy. The blue is the dwelling rent, and you can barely see the green, which is other income. Some of that would be late charges, fees, pet fees, and so other miscellaneous items. And then there's a tiny sliver of interest. Looking at the bar chart, you can see that we're under budget, except for general expenses.
What's the biggest part of that is over what we have budgeted in that general category?
We have some contract labor. I have this young man that on his off days from his regular job comes in and either does grass cutting and trims the bushes. He can even do some painting on the make-readies, goes in and helps strip floors, just whatever I need him.
Okay.
And then I also bring Vicky in to help on some of the accounting, some of the lease preparations, when I get too inundated.
Okay. Okay. Any questions about the analysis for the income?
No.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so is that everything you have for financials? Anything else you need to cover with us, Frank?
Right now, that's it.
All right.
Under my report, I might have some additional items that could fall under the budget.
Okay. Then, staff report.
Could I have a vote on the
Oh, that's right.
financials?
So do we have a motion to accept the financial reports that Frank has presented to us for the Charles Young, Pete Dressen, and as well as the analysis for the budget?
I'll make a motion to accept the financials for Charles Young Housing, Pete Dressen Housing, and the analysis to include, be included with that as presented by Frank.
Okay. So
I
we have
sec-
a motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, it is moved and seconded. And any discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, the ayes have it and motion passes. Okay, our next item of business is the staff report, and I know Frank has some items he'd like to share with us.
Okay, to begin with, on the occupancy reports, Charles Young is at 90% occupancy right now. That's the complex that's usually 100%. We've had death of 2 elderly tenants, and they're both on make-ready status right now. I'm hoping to finish one of them the next 2-3 weeks to get ready to lease out. Pete Dressen is at 84%. It seems as soon as we start catching up, some leave or they take flight. I have 4 units that are on make-ready status right now. One is ready for occupancy, and we're reviewing and qualifying applicants at this time. On Pete Dressen, we have a contract with Southwest Housing Compliance Corp. that does our Section 8 funding from HUD. I got the contract extended. I asked for an extension to submit a renewal, and after I submitted it and got everything in, it was right before the shutdown, and everything was sent to HUD before the shutdown, and it stalled there until everything was over with. So I could not get any funding until after the shutdown because everything was closed down. We couldn't draw down any money. So that's going to be reflective
In the
next report.
next
That's why
quarter.
I mentioned that everything looked good in our,
Next quarter, we'll see that
Yes.
effect, okay.
and we've got some funding from that. On a side note, I went into what's called the lock system, and I saw some money that was available, and it was 2,000. I clicked on it as soon as I got it, and I got it approved, and then 3 or 4 later, I saw $7,000 in there. Usually we get like around 2,000 a month. So I clicked on it, and a flag said, might get reviewed. And sure enough, the next day I got a conference call from the housing director, the financial guy, and my new rep asking me what happened. It was after the shutdown. And I said, one, I need the money. Number two is I'm afraid there may be another shutdown, and I want to have some money to be able to operate. So that's what you did. I said, yes. Because you normally don't draw down that much. I said I took advantage of what I could. So they approved it, reluctantly, but they approved it. So they didn't give me a problem.
Okay.
It goes into item number 8, the issues, the government shutdown. Pete Dressen housing contract. I want to get a hickey on that until we can catch up. Drawing down that money. And we have a new HUD representative. As I mentioned before the meeting started, there's been so much turnover there. I can't develop a relationship with someone that at least I know face to face. I can talk and they can try and give me direction, but it's just one of the problems they're having at HUD.
Okay.
Health insurance, we have one employee. We have a group plan that allows to have one person. That's my maintenance man. I don't have the insurance because I already have my own insurance. It's going to be renewed in March. There's a 10% increase, and it's going to go up considerably. But my staff member will turn 65 in June, so he can be put on the program where he's under Medicare and a supplement plan that we're going to pay for, and it'll drastically reduce the premiums that we're paying for him now.
You said that would happen June?
July, no,
Or
yeah,
this-
it'll get good after June. The
Okay,
renewal
so-
starts in March, so
It'll offset those increases we're seeing now?
yes.
Okay,
Well, it'll decrease
bit.
it, yeah.
okay.
And the annual audit, an engagement letter was signed by the chair and me to have Bill Rocha do our audit. It's for the fiscal year in June 30, it says 3 on there. June 30, 2018. The field work is going to begin next week, March the 5th or the 7th. And we need to have it completed by the 31st because we have to submit it into the HUD system at that time. It's going to be in 3 months before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. And letters should have been received by all of the commissioners, yes?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Because they came in
I
this
mailed my
week.
in.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, great.
Did you get one, Brett?
Just a
Okay.
reminder.
Thank
Okay.
you. D is the Burleson Road construction. I was speaking to a couple of commissioners. It's a mess down there. I know you two go to Catholic church, and I'm sure you experienced it. And I think the tenants are now getting used to it, but I was getting calls frequently that the mud and everything else, they're messing up their cars and going inside their apartments.
How, I guess, was that the primary complaint, or were there other concerns from the tenants related to the construction and access into the housing units?
That was a complaint. The other is the construction crews parking in their parking spots, not having parking when they got in, those that work at night or.
And is that something that we've addressed with the city, and has it improved in any way, particularly with that parking?
To be honest with you, I talked to the city in the beginning, because they informed me they were gonna cut two big, what I call heritage trees because of a line they're gonna put through there. And that, because there was a danger when they burrowed through there that it would damage the root system and they could topple over and damage the units. And they're in the right of way, the trees are.
Okay.
So I informed the tenants, but they developed a water leak on the city side, not our side. And there was a puddle there on the first entrance closest to the church that I notified the city that, and they said they were aware of it. The contractor had failed to tell the city what they had done, and the contractor tried to fix it. And it eroded part of the pavement, parking lot pavement. And I let them know that I wanted it to be left the way when they started. That I wasn't not gonna accept, and I wanted them to know, and I sent an email to that effect to them.
Okay. So the parking lot pavement, making sure that's repaired, but are the tenants still concerned or saying that the parking spots being taken, that that's still an issue?
They're done finished most of the construction there
Okay.
now. Most of it, not totally. And the other thing is that they're cutting used to it.
Okay. So just wanted to make sure if we needed to address that or move that forward for the tenants, since there is only limited parking there too for
Yes.
each of the units. All right.
Oh, and 9, it goes back again to my occupancy report on where I had 2 elderly tenants pass in, and there's another one that's in rehab therapy. The one-bedroom apartments have over a 3.5-year waiting list right now. So for the first time before I got here, there's gonna be some vacancies
Okay.
for those one-bedrooms. Number 10 is a Texas State Bobcat build. It's gonna happen on, I think, April 13th. And I've signed up Charles Young and Pete Dressen, mostly for cutting shrubs, raking leaves, and just general cleanup, the green area at both complexes.
So you think it's the 13th? I know last year, some of the commissioners were able to come out, and we provided some sodas and some
Yes.
snacks for them.
I remember.
So-
I wasn't able to attend, but.
I don't know if we could just try to do that. Frank, would it be helpful for me to help coordinate that with the commissioners?
I'd be delighted.
Okay, so they usually say like water, maybe some Gatorade, and some snacks. So I'll reach out to the commissioners so we can coordinate that. I know on the 13th I will be out of town, but it would also be nice if we could take some pictures and just, again, come out there and thank them for being out there
Right.
and helping us out. We would appreciate
That's
that.
April 13th?
See, I'm looking at the
I think
calendar
he's
now.
confirming
okay.
the 13th.
Okay.
That's on a Saturday, yes, that's it, the 13th.
You have that. So that's the date, the 13th of April?
Mhm.
Okay.
The last item on the report concerns the SAMS and DUNS registration. I may have shared with you earlier this past year that I had difficulty renewing the registrations because they had the old email address. And I didn't have the foresight to know that that had to be changed. And it wouldn't allow me to get in there. And I'm now having to submit a new registration for it. And there's another federal agency that contains all this historical data, and once we get the new number, I can have it to be merged with the new number, all the historical data that's in the SAMs and DUNS. So I just want you to make you aware of that, in case I'm not here for one reason or the other.
Okay.
That's the end of my report, ma'am, and I don't have anything else unless you all have questions you want to ask me.
Does anyone have any questions for the staff report for Frank? Okay, thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, any announcements or any further business that we did not have on the agenda? All right, so any announcements, just one, that our next meeting, and I know we have a different date. Do you have that off the top of your,
I think it's May 19th,
oh, that's a Sunday.
Sunday. See, let me look at the calendar again.
May 16th.
May 16th?
Okay, so our next meeting will be on May 16th, 2019, and we will be here in the chambers at City Hall, the City Council chambers. All right, well, there being no further business, this concludes the meeting of the Kyle Housing Authority, and if there is no objection, we will now adjourn the meeting. Okay, here we go. The meeting is adjourned at 6:47 p.m.